So one of the questions that we got was, when do I feed my sporting dog? What are your thoughts?
RuthAnn, I'm so glad that you asked this question. The good news is that we have pretty compelling research, and it depends on what your objectives are with your dog. So in my situation, I'm more or less a weekend warrior. I hunt a lot, but I'm not often hunting for multiple days in a row. Our research is centered around our elite canine athletes. So in those scenarios, and I'm talking about people in the hunting space, those who are taking a multiple day road trip and hunting nonstop for a long stretch of time, your objectives are to mitigate loss during that time. So you're looking to maximize the nutrient uptake of your food. In that scenario, the research shows that dogs are genetically programmed to uptake more nutrients when fed at the end of the hunt. So once per day after the activity has been performed, with a couple caveats. One, in those deep-chested breeds, you always got to be careful about bombarding their system with a lot of food. So you want to make sure that there's no risk of bloat or gastric torsion. If you've been down that road, you don't want to go down it. You don't want to go down it again. And second of all, you want to make sure that the dogs have had time to cool off and get hydrated. So it's still warm, but they're not hot and panting from their activity.
So for the regular kind of weekend warrior like you and I are, because we have real jobs, is feeding them twice a day? Like, what's your approach to that?
Yeah, I think that's totally acceptable. And in all honesty, that's what I do in my house. And I think my dogs would protest if I didn't do that. So in that situation, if we're going hunting that day, I'm going to really minimize the morning feeding and or give them a multiple set of extended period of time where that food is allowed to digest a little bit before we hit the field. And then maybe prioritize the evening feeding. But for days that we're at home and I'm working or I'm in the clinic and not available to get them heavy exercise twice a day or multiple times a day, it's totally appropriate.
So I keep Finn, my Labrador, on the ProPlan 30/20 year-round. The research, again, shows it takes a while to ramp up that metabolism and program it to burn that fat most efficiently and give them the best endurance. What about you? Do you keep yours on 30/20 year-round, or do you switch them in the off-season?
It's tempting to switch, but I like the consistency of being on the same food year-round. And not to go too deep in the weeds here on the physiology behind it, but dogs are really up-regulating their energy supplies with the presence of high fat in their food. And that takes a period of months for that to be fully utilized. So if you're switching a dog off of a performance food in the summer and then starting them back on a performance food in September, it may be December by the time that's been optimized. And at that point, for most of us, the hunting season is starting to wind down. So that's justification for keeping them on those performance food 12 months a year.
Yeah, I'm the same way, like I said, and with Finn, who is very volume sensitive, so he knows how much food is going into his bowl. Oftentimes we'll supplement with like shredded cabbage or some carrots or something to give him a little bit more volume in there, but without adding to the calories in the off season. So we don't want him to get too bulked up.
Sure. RuthAnn, people talk about floating their dog's food. Is that something that you do?
Yeah, so we do. At the end of a hunting day, after Finn has cooled down a bit and he's ready for his meal, we do. We add that water in there. For me, it makes me feel better because he's got the water. I would say he's not necessarily the best water drinker. So it helps me to feel good that he's getting the hydration and his calories. What about you?
Some I do and some I don't. I have one dog that really, I think it helps her digest her food quite a bit better. The other two seem to balance it out after the hunt with just the dry kibble. I think either way we can agree that it's a great way to get extra hydration in after a busy day in the field.
Absolutely.